Hi, Adam.
Hi, it's an honor to talk to you, Mr. Robbins. I'm a huge fan of not just Dragonslayer, but Corvette Summer and Batteries Not Included, and many other things that you've done over the years. And your work on Close Encounters. Let's not forget about that. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Where are you at the moment, Adam? Are you in New York or
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's
I
where I'm
see.
at.
Okay. No, it said
Yeah.
Eastern Standard Time. Just was wondering. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed my movies. That's great. It means a lot.
Yes, a friend of mine, good friend of mine, Ray Morton, wrote a book about the making of Close Encounters, and he
Oh,
said he had spoken with you, and you
yes,
were,
yes.
yeah,
I have
yeah,
that book here in my office. It's somewhere, the bookshelf. Yeah, yeah, no, he did a great job.
yeah. Ray's a great friend of mine, and so yeah, he spoke highly of you. So anyway, I don't want to waste your time. Let me jump in this right quick. I rewatched the movie last week. The transfer is spectacular. I thought it was terrific. Just the 4K image was amazing. So I want to vouch for that. Anybody that's watching this, they need to pick it up if you're a fan of Dragon Slayer. And even if you haven't seen Dragon Slayer, you need to see Dragon Slayer. I just wanted to get a little bit about the genesis of the idea. I think we're talking about 1979, and it's somewhat. I believe my research says it's The Sorcerer's Apprentice was maybe the source material that kind of gave you the idea for it, or
In part, yes. There was a combination of things that maybe they weren't that clear and specific to me at the moment, but in retrospect, I look back on it and can identify. One of which, and an important one, is the fact that Hal and I were very much around when George was creating ILM. And we got to know Dennis Murin, Phil Tippett, and Ken Ralston, Bruce Nicholson, the core group, the heads of departments, and we watched and were very much around when they were executing all the special effects for the Star Wars, and we thought it would be a good idea to take all that horsepower and apply it to a different world. Why not?
mm-hmm.
Why not put that machine to use in another world? So that was a big component behind this. There was also the fact that Hal forced me to, out of his enthusiasm, to read Lord of the Rings, and I, like Hal, got very excited about that, and it just seemed a very fertile arena. The idea of particularly Smog, that dragon, and so and yes, I was a fan of. We both were fans of Fantasia and the Mickey Mouse and that whole thing. The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is very much the Peter McNichol role in this.
Mm-hmm.
But we also were getting in touch with an idea that governed more than one movie in my case, which is, what if you create a world that is very real, very dense, even gritty, and you inject into that world a single fantastic element? And what would be the real world consequences if dragons were real? And then there's the idea, well, what happened? If they're that real, what happened? Well, let's imply that this is the end of an era, which is in the movie. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a theme in it. The Christian era is starting, and there's this other magical realm that's on its way out. And so we took these elements and drummed up this story, and we learned when we went out to see if we could get to make it that in the case of Paramount, they had been trying to get a movie made about a dragon or dragons because the popularity of the game Dungeons and Dragons, which all kids were playing all over the U.S. and Canada, and still are, maybe. so that's as I recall, the major building blocks of how this thing came together.
That's an interesting story. Yeah, it was pretty quick. I was surprised when doing the research. From the time you wrote it, I think it was like June to August of '79, and then it was pretty much greenlit right after that, if I'm not mistaken. I may have read this incorrectly, but I just wanted to confirm. But it seemed like it was a pretty quick transition from the finishing of the script to the green lighting and getting into production.
I don't remember the exact dates. I could look them up the way you did, but that's basically that's basically true. And over the years, I would have to say that it was a remarkably rapid move into reality compared to so many other projects that I've been involved with. And because I know you're probably going to ask about it, compared with, say, Pinocchio, because over the years I've experienced so many roadblocks and hurdles that other projects have had to overcome or even not. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Dragonslayer in that regard was a very speedy and happy beginning. It was a very tough slog because it was a very ambitious picture, far more ambitious than I think I had realized. It was only my second feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after Corvette Summer, of course, and yes. And that was, of course, notable being the first post Star Wars for Mark Hamill, yes. There in the lead role, and so a lot of people were excited about that when it came out, and I still enjoy it, as I said earlier. But now the production, I'm sure there was some. It was, like you said, uncharted territory with the go motion technique that you were using for the to bring the dragon to life. So if you want to talk a little bit about those challenges right quick.
Sure. Go motion was a way of doing stop motion like it had been done for decades, generations, but to give fluidity and smoothness to the movement of the creature. And it's done by opening the shutter during the movement, even if tiny movement, of the puppet, so that the extremities of the wings or the claws or whatever, or the tail that's moving rapidly, there'd actually be blur. If you held up a single frame of the film and look at it, it would be sharp where motion was slow, because there's about a 50th of a second exposure, but that's slow enough so that if there was something happening that was quick, there'd be blur. Well, when you have blur, you're reproducing the look of actual movie film. If you shoot a baseball player swinging a bat, that bat is moving quick enough, and more often than not, the bat will be a blur. That never could be achieved in traditional stop motion. Stop motion is the bat would be here, and you take a picture of it, and then on to the next one, next one, next. The bat is sharp in every picture. So they devised go motion, which is, I don't want to take up a lot of time describing technically how it was done, but it was a revolution prior to the arena of digital effects. And ILM and the team, Phil Tippett, Dennis Murin, Ken Ralston, and Bruce Nicholson, they got an Academy Award nomination for the special effects in the movie, principally because of the look that they achieved with it. And it's to this day, it's pretty astonishing how when people talk about they love the dragon. It's because, in large part, of the design and also the technique that was used.
Oh yeah, it's so much more convincing than what we're seeing these days. And the movie is over 40 years old at this point, and it still just holds up incredible. It's some of the most best use of special effects in as far as bringing a large creature to life, I guess you would say. It's still amazing to behold. I know we're running quick on time here, and I want to move it along. I'll just say, how do you feel about the film's place in popular American culture some 40 years on? I know that it wasn't a huge success at the time of its release, but it has definitely gained in stature over the years, and I just thought I would ask your thoughts about that.
No, it's a good question. And my honest answer is that I'm only now, including today, based on the questions I'm getting about the movie, coming to grips with the fact that the film is enjoying something of a revival. The sales, according to Paramount, the pre-sales have been remarkable. And there's just squads, a whole generation of who saw this movie and never forgot it, for better or worse. So I'm very gratified, surprised, because frankly, the fact that we worked so hard and we thought we had something so special and it previewed so well, and then it didn't really perform at the box office. And the legacy of the box office disappointment was hard to swallow, of course. But then what made it worse was that when it was transferred to VHS tape.
Oh yeah,
it was really a mechanical process. It was done robotically, indifferent technically, and I couldn't watch it, and I really didn't want to. It was really off my radar, and so it was a big surprise and amazing a wonderful surprise that Paramount and the core group who achieved this restoration came to me. I didn't go to them and insist on it and ask if you're going to do this. This was something that came from the studio. And so it was great that they, not only that they did it, but they invited me. I live in Northern California. I went down several times to LA to sit in, and they took the lead. I was not charging to, they already identified all the matte lines and the blocked up shadows and the grainy skies and all the smudgy, blurry, inferior, and even the soundtrack, which is so much better now than it was. This is about as close as you'll ever get to it, because when it was on the screen in its day, ILM really was a showcase of their work, and the story was mounted in a very classy fashion. You'd never know it for all those years that it was out there on those DVDs. So I don't know if I'm really answering the question, except it's a big surprise to find out that it's got all this effect of all these affectionate fans and the rest, but that it's going to be seen finally in a proper form. I'm really could not be more delighted.
Well, you definitely earned a place in American culture, that's for sure, because people do fondly remember this film, and we grew up seeing it on HBO and the like, and it is just, we love it, and we love your work. So anyway, thanks. It's been such an honor to talk to you and to get to ask you a few questions.
Well, I couldn't be more pleased. Thanks for some good questions, by the way. They were great. Okay.
Thank you. Right. I appreciate it.
Okay, great. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.